Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay. So Ramana, new to the ashram is Savitri from India. Okay. Andrew Colgrave from Australia.
Okay, Andrew.
Oren Dotan from Israel over here.
Okay,
Behind
Oren.
Mr. Reddy. Rick Roy right here from
Okay, Rick.
US, Japan. And Naraka from Greece. in the
Okay.
red shirt. First time this evening is Barton
What is it?
and Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Reddy.
Yeah. And Rusty Mayer from the US. And
Rusty.
Lucas Stefano from Canada.
And Lucas. And Cheryl.
Cheryl Levine from Canada. And Anya from
Anya.
Germany, India.
Well, welcome everyone. Those who are coming for the first time, we certainly welcome you, and all of you who are returning, welcome back. Happy to see you. Happy to have you. We have a couple of questions. I guess for those you coming for the first time, you don't necessarily know what to expect coming here. And those returning may not know what to expect either. In fact, I really don't have anything to say. I don't have an agenda. I don't have a message. I live in the awareness, as the basis of being, have for 35 years now, by the grace of Sri Bhagavan Ramana. And I am just with people. Whatever it is that is happening with you, I can be with you in whatever that happens to be. As I say, I have no agenda. Now, I know for some of you who've been with me, you may think that I do have agenda. But my agenda is really being with you in your agenda. And it's not my agenda, it's yours. So, when people have questions, that more or less gives us an agenda to be together in this company, in this presence, in this conscious energy of the presence. There's only one. But have you ever noticed? I'm not criticizing. I'm not judging. I'm just speaking in observation of being with people. Have you ever noticed that it seems like there's many energies, many beings, and many qualities and characteristics? Well, there really is only one. Now, I'm not saying this to try to cause a debate. I'm saying this simply if you will follow your own sense of being and observe your own awareness and how it rises as the appearance of many, there still is only you. does many come to you and say, notice us? Or is it you present and observing the appearance of many? And when it comes to many people, as such, many so-called entities, as such, aren't we talking about bodies? These bodies seem to have people in them. They're being functioned by minds that are operating these bodies. And these minds that are operating these bodies are taking on the nature of being a person. Just look and see. All of the bodies that are alive, as we'll call them human beings, don't they look or appear like they're persons? But even they, if they follow the sense of I to the point of origin of this sense of I, and see from whence is this sense of I and what is this sense of I, there's only one awareness. It's sort of like the sun shining through a prism. The light of the sun shining through a prism is refracted into 7 basic colors, and then there are different hues of those colors. And if each of those colors had a sense of being, it would look like they're all different. But if you remove the prism, which is like the body, or the colors that are like the bodies, there's only one sun, one light shining. All of the major religions affirm that there's only one sourcing essence called by different names, usually referred to as God, which is sort of a key word, a trigger word. What does it mean? Who's God? What God? But that, you see, is based upon these seeming entities that have actually reflected their own awareness into the body-mind that they are identified with. It's sort of like a constant loop of consciousness looping into the mind and then back into consciousness. If we look at it, there's only one. I did look at it. I followed the instruction of Bhagavan Ramana. I had been looking at it long before I even knew about Bhagavan, and then Bhagavan put me straight about it very easily. All of us are expressions of the one. And as long as we are identified with the body and the mind that we're taking ourselves to be, we have to deal with the circumstances surrounding taking the body to be who we are. The body-mind to be who we are. But if we take hold of the sense of I, as Sri Bhagavan Ramana suggests, and follow the sense of I inward, and see from whence does it originate. See if you can find a location of this sense of I as an actual entity. What do you come up with? You end up empty-handed. There's only the sense of I shining as pure being when we keep the sense of I focused on the source out of which it appears to rise. And ultimately, the sense of I merges with this source and is not different from this source. And this source is the pure being, the pure consciousness, the pure awareness that we all are. Not two. One. And the realization is we've always been just this one, even when we thought we were many. And it turns out that as long as we're thinking that we're many, we get caught up in the confusion, the contradictions, the apparent oppositions that take place from body minds living apparently in time and space. And we all know, if we really look at it, that time and space are only concepts. They're not actualities. They're simply thoughts. There is no time or space in deep, dreamless sleep. Yet we exist as being, as pure existence in deep, dreamless sleep. In fact, we are the uncaused, infinite subject in the pure awareness in which everything is appearing, everything is occurring. And as long as we identify with the mind and the body that appears to be living in this awareness, and take this body-mind to be who we are, and that time and space is the basis of reality, which is not. It's just the product of our senses, the mind itself operating through our senses and by means of the senses of the body. That's not who we are. That's who we appear to be, as long as we're identified with the body and the mind and the outward flow of consciousness in this loop of body-mind identification. So all of the questions that we have pertaining to all of this basically are no different. Everyone's question. I take questions all the time. I've been here in India on this occasion since, October, I believe, October the 9th, and been receiving people every Tuesday and Friday, people who have questions, and it's a paradox that basically the questions are the same. They seem to be different, but if you just take the questions all the way back to the questioner, if each questioner ask who's asking the question and follows the I that is asking the question to the sourcing essence they are, it is found that everyone has the same question. It's in just a little bit of a different form. It's in a little bit of a different arrangement of mind or mentality. What it really boils down to see what we're all doing, seeing who we really are and what we're all doing. Who are we? Well, we happen to be the Supreme Being. That's who we are. And the Supreme Being is playing the game, playing the role of being a separate entity living in time and space. Time and space, which are just concepts, not realities. So the Supreme Being, choosing to play in time and space as though time and space are realities, and therefore sustaining time and space as apparent realities, and living in relationship with other entities living in time and space that are also meditating a separate self-identity. All that we're doing is meditating a separate self-identity and living in relationship with other entities that are meditating a separate self-identity, and then trying to figure out a way to get along. And finding it not very easy to do. Because as entities, we seem to have different points of view, different positions and points of view. Isn't that kind of the way it is? And then the big question, one of you have, why? Why all of this? Very simply, why not? Why not? To me, Bhagavan Ramana represents getting off the wheel of karma, the wheel of birth and death, the wheel of this meditation of a separate self-identity. This unconsciousness of not remembering who and what we actually are. We're not human beings. Yes, that's the highest on the scale of the animal kingdom, is the human being. That's the highest on the totem pole. You know totem poles.
I do.
But we're not human beings. We're not. We're divine beings, playing the role of human beings. And some who are into such matters even say we've been playing the role of all of the animal kingdoms as we evolve up the totem pole until we reach this level now of human beings where it's easier to kill one another that we're in disagreement with, or hopefully maybe love one another eventually, and to finally get it that we're not even going to get off the wheel until we do learn to love one another. You see, what we've done, if we've projected a non-existent limitation upon ourselves, putting ourselves in a role that we really are not, in actuality are, but assuming that we are these roles, and then we're creating what we call our spiritual practice, whatever it happens to be, our sadhana, for the purpose of freeing ourselves from this limitation that we have self-imposed. This meditation of a separate self-identity. Now, the big question is, how will we ever get free of this self-imposed limitation when the limitation itself that is self-imposed includes the limitation that we have put ourselves in and that we're assuming ourselves to be limited by or to? As long as we continue to believe that we are a limited individual living in time and space, assuming that that's who and what we are, how are we ever going to get free of that limitation as long as we continue to assume that that's who and what we are? The very assumption will go with us with every practice, every process that we engage ourselves in. Can we see this? And that's what's taking place. And then we go to all these different teachers with all these different sadhanas, with all of these different practices, with all these different meditations, with all these different breathing processes, yogas and all of that, to try to get free of this self-imposed limitation that we take ourselves to be. And wondering, when are we ever going to get free of it? We're practicing and practicing and practicing, and nothing ever seems to happen. Or I never get finished. I never get complete. When will I ever get finished? When will I ever be free? Is there anyone here recognizing anything here? Well, my loves, we're already free if we just acknowledge who we are. If we acknowledge who we are and acknowledge directly and immediately who we are, we don't have to do anything to be free because we're already free. One of you have a question about what is freedom? Well, freedom is what you are. Freedom is what you are. You already are free. Stop thinking you're not. If you assume that you're not free and act as though you're not free, guess what? What? You're not free. So why do you assume that you're not free? Simply because you've been listening to a lot of bullshit. You've been listening to people tell you you're not free. You yourself been telling yourself that you're not free, and you continue to tell yourself you're not free and wonder when you're going to get free. So, all that I have to share with you is to tell you right now you're free. Are you ready to be free? Or do you think you want to continue your sadhana, which in all due respect is probably more bullshit? Certainly is a more bullshit if your sadhana includes the false assumption that you're not free already. And I'm not saying that as a put down, please, don't misunderstand me. That sadhana brought you to right here. To this point, to this place, if you're able to hear what I'm sharing with you. So it has done its purpose. It has fulfilled its purpose. Am I making myself clear? You're already free. You never were not free. What makes you think that you're not free is you're identified with your body as though that's who you are. And with your mind, which is the record of all of the experiences that the body has undergone since it came into being. That's all the mind is. Someone asked that question. What's the mind? What's the purpose of the mind? It's just a record of all of the experiences that the body has gone through since it's been living in time and space. Do we see it? That's all it is. It's a computer. A computer program that tells you what all you're doing as you're doing it, remembering what all you're doing it as you're doing it. But that's not who you are. Who you are is the pure being that you've always been, was never born, and will never die. The body, oh, it was born, and it will die. The mind along with it was born, and it will die. But not you. You are the deathless spirit, infinite and eternal. You have always been, and you always will be. But if you're caught up in this crazy program of time and space, and all of the events of time and space, and believing that that's who and what you are, then you're going to live by that limitation and assume that that limitation is who you are. And as long as you're assuming that that limitation is who you are, guess what? For all practical purposes, that's who you are. Simply because, as far as this world is concerned, it's a product of imagination. Whose? Yours. Thoughts or things. What you think about grows. You become what you think about, as far as this world is concerned. Not reality. Reality is you are the infinite being. But as far as this world is concerned, you are who you think you are. You're the image that you have of yourself and have had of yourself from the beginning. Why are you here? You didn't finish it the last time you were here. And you will not get out of this world dead. You only get out of this world alive, conscious, alert, present, knowledgeable as to who and what you really are. When you awaken to who and what you really are and live in the awakened awareness of who and what you really are and quit imposing a limitation on what you really are, taking yourself to be your body and your mind and the conditioned patterns of the past as though you, and the history that goes along with that as though that's who you are, you'll be free from all of that. But you're already free when you drop identification with all of that. How do you drop identification with all of that? How? Drop it! Who wants to drop it? You say, well, I do. Well, who is this I that wants to drop it? Follow this I back to the source and see from whence this I is coming and realize directly and immediately for yourself the source of this I and make the distinction in your awareness as awareness, the difference between the awareness that you are and the I that you think you are. There's a big difference. The I you think you are is the body mind. The awareness that you are was never born. And you know that already. I don't have to tell you that. That awareness is the awareness that you were when you were a tiny kid and you knew what all was going on. You could see your own thoughts. You could see your own actions. You watched your own growth, but that did not change. Your body changed. Your mind changed, but that did not change. It's been aware as pure awareness from the very beginning. Hasn't it?
Yes.
We all know that, don't we? Come on, don't we?
Yes.
We all know this. So it's no big mystery. But these sadhanas that we do in order to try to get free of this body that we have imposed upon ourselves as though this is who and what we are, is just going to keep us living in the limitation as long as we continue to assume the limitation to be who we are. This is all there is to it. No more and no less. This is all there is to it. Now let's look at the questions. Andrew, how do I maintain this sense of the heart with my life in the West, particularly being a university professor of economics, mind-oriented? What is the purpose of the mind? Have I answered it, Andrew?
Yeah.
That's it. You've already got it. Is it Nitkara or Nitkara? Is that right? Narakar? Narakar. Okay.
Nikara.
Nikar. Okay. Forgive me, I just got to get it. Okay. What is meant by completion? Is there an end of all of this? Once complete, can it remain? Why are we all doing this? Now, you tell me. Haven't you already got it?
Sorry?
Haven't you already got it?
Yes, I got it.
Have I already answered it?
Yeah.
Okay. Nasami. How can I release my attachment of the sting of remorse? Whose remorse? You're pointing to your body. So it's your body's, mind's remorse. Your body, mind. A thought. Can you have remorse without the thought of remorse? Exactly. So quit thinking remorse. Can you have remorse without thinking remorse? Then quit thinking remorse. You're not your mind, you have a mind. So quit using your mind to think remorse. You get it? Do you see what I'm saying? And you're free right now of remorse. Aren't you? If you're not thinking remorse, aren't you already free of remorse? We'll stay right here, free of remorse. And when I say right here, I mean in your own awareness. Your own awareness. Huh? That's all there is to it. Isn't it? Isn't it? Yes. Now, if your mind wants to go back and think remorse, don't go there. Don't go there. Remorse is only a thought. You can't have remorse without the thought. So it's only a thought. Turn your attention, instead of into the mind and thinking of remorse, turn your attention back to the source of your being. And in the source of your being, is there any remorse? Is there? In the source of your being, in your pure awareness, in your thoughtless awareness, is there any remorse? Mm-hmm. When you're in your pure being, in your own sense of I am, did you take her through this I am centering process?
Yeah.
All right. Go through the I am centering process with regard to remorse. Follow the I back into the I am. You know what Vivian took you through? Now, follow the sense of I back into the I am. The sense of I that has the feeling or the thought of remorse. And go into the I am. In the I am, right now. This moment, in the I am. Tell me, be honest, tell me, in this I am, is there any remorse? Okay. So if you're free of remorse in this moment in the I am, then just remaining in the I am, you're ever free of remorse. Aren't you? Okay. This is all there is to it, love. Okay? Now, if you have to irrigate it a little bit, let the tears flow. Okay, let the tears flow, but you stay in the awareness. Let the mind release its thought of remorse. Just let it release. And you stay in the awareness of I am. All right? All right. Okay. Do we all see what we do to ourselves? Do we see how we cause our own limitations, our own problems, by thinking we have a problem? How can you have a problem without the thought of a problem? Tell me. Can you?
No.
There is no problem without the thought of the problem. Who's thinking problem? Your only answer, I am thinking problem. Well, that's your problem. If there wasn't an I here thinking I have a problem, you couldn't have the problem. Now, you want to get really sophisticated about this? You say, oh, but it's my body that has a problem. I got news for you. This body has got all kinds of problems. But I don't think about them. You say, well, what about when you're grunting and growling, complaining? Well, I do it for the instant, because the body is still alive. It's finishing its tour of duty. Look at your body as your tour of duty. Your tour of duty in time and space. You set it in motion to complete your karma in time and space. That's all it's about. You're a divine being. We're all divine beings. And we set in motion time and space to complete our actions and activities and behavior patterns that we had not completed the last time we were in a body. That's why we have this body. Now, what some of us did, we took on more responsibility, more identifications. You should lessen those and not take on more. I would urge you. That would be my suggestion. I don't give advice. I do give suggestions, but I don't give you advice unless you come to me and ask me. If you come to me and ask me, I then may be with you in whatever it is you're going through as it reveals itself. But I don't have anything to tell you. I'm sharing with you what is alive in me by the grace of Bhagavan and by my own practice. As Bhagavan shared with me what to practice and how to practice it. So that's what my practice is. And that's what I share. And it's pure. It's true blue. You can depend upon what Bhagavan shares. And Aham, which is where you are right now in this ashram, Aham is the association of happiness for all mankind. By Bhagavan's grace, it was founded for the purpose of sharing his pure teaching. It happens to be, incidentally, if you're interested, the only institution, the only organization, a chartered organization, both here in India and in the United States, the only organization anywhere in the world as an organization that teaches Bhagavan's pure teaching as a curriculum. You ever notice that his ashram doesn't do that? You been to his ashram? They don't teach Bhagavan's teaching. I'm not saying that as a judgment. That's not a criticism. That's a simple fact. They do not teach Bhagavan's pure process. Now, I'm not saying they're not teachers that teach Bhagavan's process. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying we are an organization. We're like a school, if you will, where you learn, and we stay with you from the very beginning all the way to the end if you wish us to. There will be someone who will be with you from the beginning all the way through to the completion, to where you can abide in the pure awareness of being and no longer be at the effect of the events occurring in this world to you or around you. That's a fact. Some of you know that already. That's a fact. Now, what we share is how to free yourself from this pattern that in all probability, no judgment intended here, I'm speaking facts, that you're probably still identified with as long as you're meditating a separate self-identity. And look and see if you are. Do you consider yourself to be your own self-image, who you take yourself to be, the self that you call by your name, by your occupation, the work that you do, the relationships that you're in with whomever your relationship is? Is that who you take yourself to be? Living in time and space? If that is, you're meditating a separate self-identity. And as long as you meditate a separate self-identity, no judgment, but look at it, a fact. You have to deal with and you have to suffer the consequences of the meditation of a separate self-identity. Don't you? Can you all understand what I'm saying? You have to suffer the consequences of that. You say, well, what about if I enjoy the consequences of that? I'd rather think about it that I'm enjoying the consequences of that. Okay, then enjoy them. But if you're identified with that, you're still imposing upon yourself the limitation of thinking that's who you are when in fact that's not who you are. And as long as you live in that assumption, you're going to still have to deal with it as your pleasures. And what's the opposite of pleasure? Your suffering. Because you see, you will never be able to always get your own way. Will you? You can never always get your own way. You say, well, what if I don't get my own way? Well, if you're living in the pure awareness of being as the basis of your being and knowing that that's who and what you are, then it doesn't make any difference whether you get your own way or not. Does it? You say, wait a minute, I'd rather get my own way. Well, get your own way to what extent you can. But what when you're not destined to get your own way? What then? Can you fully accept that? Is that as easy to accept as it is when you're getting your own way? Well, you see, you're free when it's just as easy to accept not getting your own way as it is getting your own way. That's when you're free. Otherwise, you're not free. Are you? Tell yourself the truth. Are you? Are you? No. So the point is, if you wish to be free, you can be free when you live in the pure awareness of being as the basis of your being. The pure awareness of being is the uncaused cause of being. The uncaused subject. In other words, it had no beginning. It's uncaused. It's the first cause. The first cause must be the first cause. The uncaused, it must be uncaused or it wouldn't be first cause. Are you with it? That's who you are. You are uncaused. You've always been. Your body was caused, but not you. You were not caused. You have always been. You're the pure awareness of being. When you recognize that and abide in the pure awareness of being as the pure awareness of being, you're free. Do we get this? Nod your head if you're getting what I'm saying, huh?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay.
I'm curious about the difference between the between self-inquiry and the question, who am I, versus I am. I guess my practice since probably April this year has been to question, who am I? And maybe it feels more like a mantra at times.
I mean, I'm sorry?
A mantra.
A mantra?
Mantra, yeah. But then I read one of the pamphlets, if you like, that was given before this satsang, and you talk about I am. So is there a difference?
Well, I am is who you are and what you are, but there's no one to know it.
Is this sense of I?
No, it's prior to the sense of I. The sense of I points to the I am that you are. It's the pure being of the self is what you are, but there's no I in this pure being of the self. The sense of I is the mind.
Is it then important to continually question that?
What do you think?
Well, yes.
Well, you answered your own question.
There's a lot of, for me, it feels like a lot of not knowing, not, if you like, not thinking.
And a lot of being. This understanding you cannot make an object of. No more than you can make an object of your own eyes and see them. You can't see your own seeing. You can't see that which sees, and you can't see that which knows. You can't directly see that which knows. You can't make an object of it. You can be it. In fact, you are it. Anyone else?